This is question one. How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? As for conventions, I placed my masthead at the top across the whole page. I made it in capital to make it stand out more. And this technique I saw in most of the reggae magazines of the examples I used and the ones I looked at online. And in general, most magazines have a large title going across the top in in capitals. Another convention was for the picture. I just took a regular medium close up with barely any text across the whole artist, and especially no text over his face. And it was actually he was actually the picture was popping a bit over the masthead, which was again something I saw in all of my examples and the magazines I looked at. So as you can see, my artist is smiling, has a great smile. Because this follows all my examples that I was looking at, and when I did my audience profile, it kind of seemed to be happy mood, a bunch of happy people. And the same goes for his dress code, kind of kick back, relax. Obviously, since my genre was reggae, I had a color scheme, red, green, yellow, which are the typical colors you see with the Rastafarism. So almost all the fonts colors on all the pages relate to this, and I had some black and white to keep it simple, but not and still keep it not too colorful. I tried to keep it nice balance. So earlier in my research, I found out that the reason red, yellow, and green are associated with reggae is because red stands for blood, yellow for treasures, and green for earth. And in Rastafarism, these are the kind of things they believe in, you know. So for the name of my magazine, I used another convention in the sense that most, if not all, reggae magazines have a Rastafarian term as the name. You see all these Rastafarian terms you don't really usually use, but you hear in reggae songs that they'll name the magazines after them. And I chose Babylon because this is a town, by the way, but a lot of Rastafari's reggae artists refer to it in their music, and I chose this because it was, first of all, personally attractive to me. There's something about the word which I find, I don't know, it just looks nice. It feels nice to say. Also, in my research survey, I asked the people, I gave them a couple of examples, and I asked them which one they liked the most, and Babylon came out on top. As the reggae genre isn't as big as some of the other genres, finding magazine examples was challenging for me. From the ones I looked at, the layout was very similar, so it was hard to find some contrast. Most of them were from the same company, um, but typically the layout very similar, very little writing and a lot of focus on the picture. We're talking about the cover here. Font styles were typically a bit irregular, a bit odd shapes, maybe a few mismatched lines, and it was really the only thing that the font this is that was on the page that wasn't in uniform, straight lines and such. This is why I chose this font type for my title, as it's kind of clean, fits well into the page, but it's a bit irregular, with the odd shapes. And to be more attractive to my social group, I pasted a fake Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram links on the cover. Um, this was just because my age group is a bit younger. I thought it'd be look attractive to them. They'll recognize these symbols, which is also very a convention, as most magazines use this. I tried to challenge the convention by having this irregular shape on the bottom at the right, the circle promoting an event. This was not seen on most of the examples, like um, free stuff in here or page 4, read this. But I felt it was necessary as I'm aiming a product at a bit younger social group, and it just helped fill up the page well, so it wasn't very left out. Now for my contents page. Here again I used the regular color scheme, red, green, yellow, black and white, to keep it simple looking. I went for a typical convention of keeping the layout very simple, with everything in line, equal gaps around the page. Um, I used a nice variety of shots, I think, some mid shots, some over the shoulder and close up. Even though I've used the same models, I've only used 3 models, there's still a wide usage of clothing, making it appear as though it's different people. You know, I'm pretty sure it would be hard to say if you didn't know these people that they're all different just by changing their clothing. So the clothing I use is very relaxed. You know, as I said earlier, kickback, not nothing too serious, still casual. We're talking things like track pants, hoodies, tank tops, uh, hats, and this relates back to my social group. One of the red hoodies that was used even had some writing on it saying "Young, Wild, and Free," which is a famous lyric from an artist who used to create reggae music before. For the shot types, I looked at a magazine and used the similar shots. You know, I looked at the actual magazine page and saw how what kind of shots have they used, where have they pasted the pictures, and I tried to copy it as good as I could because obviously copying a professional magazine makes it look more professional. Um, I didn't spend much time on coming up with the shot. I saved a lot of times by doing this. And most of the lighting I use is bright, which challenges the conventional shot type. Typically, I would see the reggae shots. You know, the shots they use in magazines are a lot more dark. But I don't know. I didn't feel that vibe. I felt it had to be more lit up, and I lighted up shots. I thought this worked well. Also because I had a lot of focus on my background in the images, whereas usually there's a more focus on facial features in the shots. I had a lot of nice scenery which I could take my images in. So I decided to include a lot of it in my shots because you know it looked well. I also created this conventional star figure in Photoshop and pasted it in the top right of my document. This helps break up the similar like the page a bit instead of making it so regular. Just challenge it a bit. For my double spread page, I use a very conventional layout, not overlapping text, straight columns, equally spread material around the page. I use the same color scheme again, mainly for the title and around the page to highlight questions and quotes. The clothing is again very conventional looking in my shots. Tank tops, one even in reggae colors. The hats are very common in this genre. In these images, the lighting is slightly darker, but still bright. Also includes the background in these images because I think it looks really well and it's rather a rather nice setting. To start off my article, use the conventional large letter seen in magazine articles, and this was a function within InDesign I used. There's not a lot of writing on the page, except obviously for the article. There's just the article writing. There's not a lot of stuff breaking up the page, which is rather conventional, as reggae magazines are typically very serious and don't include promotions and such.